Hi, I'm Tim Beggy, and this is Guts and Bolts. An adrenaline-filled look at today's technology, how it works, and how it got here. This episode, we're looking at flight training and the technology that makes America's fighter pilots the best of the best. First, I pull some G's in the world's most advanced human centrifuge. Then, I check out a device no pilot ever wants to use, the rocket-powered ejection seat. Finally, I'll climb into the cockpit of the Air Force's high-tech combat flight simulator. If all goes well, I'll earn my wings for the supersonic flight of a lifetime, a ride in a real F-16. It's history done my way, next on Guts and Bolts. You might notice a very large spinning arm behind me. That's the GFET-2. It's the world's most advanced centrifuge. They tell me it can pull upwards of 15 G's in it, which is enough to pretty much kill a man, and half of that is enough to make you pass out. And I gotta climb inside that? This 11-ton machine is just one of the many high-tech devices aimed at producing safer and more effective combat pilots. Here to show me how it works is aerospace physiologist and program manager of Environmental Tectonics Corporation, Dick Leland. All right, Dick, what have I got myself into today?
We're going to put you in the most advanced human centrifuge in the world.
But it's actually just for training,
Absolutely.
Right?
As a matter of fact, centrifuge training or high G training, Tim, is extremely serious business. It is one of the few situations where we deliberately take the pilot as near the limit of his or her physiological tolerance.
In the years leading up to World War II, pilots were being pushed to their limits unintentionally. That's because planes were getting stronger. When airframes switched from wood to metal, suddenly you had planes that could outperform the human body.
Pilots began to experience a phenomenon that they called fainting in the air when they were maneuvering their aircraft. We began to do research on why that was happening. And really what happened is when the pilot maneuvered his airplane, he generated what we call G.
G is a force that pushes or pulls against your body, like on a roller coaster. The force of gravity that pulls you to the earth is 1G. You experience higher G's when you change speed or direction rapidly. Fighter planes in the 1930s could generate up to 5 Gs. That was enough to make pilots black out. To study this problem, scientists needed a machine that could generate the same G-forces as a fighter plane. That machine is the human centrifuge. In 1936, the first American model started spinning at the Army Air Corps' Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio. It works like a big old washing machine that pushes your tighty-whities against the side of the basket during the spin cycle.
The problem that soon became apparent was pilots were fainting in the air because they were having difficulty getting blood from their heart all the way up to their head.
Your heart pumps blood up to the brain. Gravity tries to pull it down. When G forces increase, it pulls down even harder. At around 5 Gs, your heart can't get any blood up to your brain. Without blood and the oxygen it delivers, you black out. It's called G-lock, or G-induced loss of consciousness. In 1942, doctors at the Mayo Clinic developed a method to help pilots combat G-lock by increasing blood pressure to the brain. Today, it's called the anti-G straining maneuver.
It really consists of two parts. One is flexing your large skeletal muscles, and two is to try to forcibly exhale with your throat closed. It looks something like this. And that's all I better do there, Tim, because
Like something spicy, Dick.
There we go. I'm getting kind of red in the face here, and that's because I've increased my blood pressure up to the point where my head level blood pressure is much higher now than normal. So I can go higher, I can tolerate the G's. You want to give it a try?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll go.
Pilots in training take an 8-hour class to learn the intricacies of the technique. Today, I'm taking a crash course.
2, 3. That's it, Tim. You're getting red in the face here, too. Good job.
Ah, the gondola.
This is it. This is where you're going to be, Tim.
Fighter pilots undergo centrifuge training to practice the anti-G straining maneuver in a safe environment. Before they become flight certified, they must successfully tolerate over 8 Gs for 20 seconds.
Okay, Tim, you comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get started here.
Clear.
Okay, Tim, we're going to start the centrifuge, and you'll actually be going to idle now. You're at idle.
That's idle.
That's idle.
Whew.
accelerating the centrifuge.
You really feel the effect in your lungs and your chest? Early centrifuges accelerated slowly, sort of like we're doing right now.
3, 2, 3.
By easing the speed up, your body has time to adjust and can tolerate the G's pretty well.
3. Okay, we're at idle. Congratulations, my man. You went 6 G's.
Oh my God.
Woo! This one's going to happen a little faster. This one
Okay.
we're going to take you up at 3 G's per second, and we're going to take you up to a plateau of 4 G's.
Okay.
Okay? Now, 2.
An 1,800 horsepower electric motor and 22-to-1 gear reducer produces over 1,000,000 foot-pounds of torque to spin the G-FET's 14,000-pound arm.
2, 3. Down at idle, you can relax. Good job, good job. All right. Next run, Tim, then will be 4 G per second, up to 5 Gs. 2, 3.
When the F-16 was introduced in 1979, it presented a new challenge to centrifuge designers. It was so advanced that it could turn faster and pull Gs quicker than anything before it. In order to match the F-16, centrifuges were redesigned to accelerate faster. The short transition is called a rapid onset, which I'm learning is much harder on the body.
2, 3, and relax. Okay, take her easy there. Good job. 5 Gs for 15 seconds.
All right, 6 Gs?
6 Gs per second, up to 6 Gs.
If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly.
There you go. Countdown starting now. 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Coming down, bring him down, bring him down.
That, my friends, is G-lock. Don't worry, I'm gonna be just fine. But if I was flying a jet, I'd be dead.
Okay, Tim, you okay?
Wow.
You okay, buddy?
Woo!
Okay, let's go ahead. We've got the centrifuge stopped.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, I'm coming down, Tim. I'm coming down.
You locked. You know what? I gotta watch this show to see what happened.
Congratulations, buddy. You're the Iron Man. Let me tell you, you're the Iron Man.
What that looked like?
Well, actually, your runs look real good,
Yeah.
Tim. Your gradual onset run went right up to 6, no problem at all. Your 4G run looked real good.
Yeah.
Your 5G run looked outstanding. Had a little difficulty on that 6G run, so we brought you down. Basically, that's called a G-induced loss of consciousness.
Wow.
Okay, so the G-induced loss of consciousness isn't an injury, and you won't have any lasting effects from
feel
this.
sore or anything.
You recover very quickly, but once again, you can see how serious something like that could be in the air.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But you did great, my
Hey,
friend.
thanks so much, Dick.
My
I certainly
pleasure.
appreciate all the time and giving me a spin around the block. You people, stay tuned for more guts and bolts, if I can handle it. Coming up, it's like sitting on top of a rocket, literally. The amazing technology of the Navy Aircrew Common Ejection Seat. And later, there's only one thing more authentic than the Air Force's combat flight simulator, and that's flying in a real F-16. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the guts and bolts of flight training. Right now I'm at the NavAir headquarters in Patuxent River, Maryland. This is where the people are responsible for the research behind taking giant hunks of metal like this, flinging them off an aircraft carrier, and returning them safely. But sometimes things can go wrong. That's when pilots thank their lucky stars for people like Paul Heilig. For the past 15 years, he's been designing escape systems. And today, he's going to show me the ins and outs behind the Navy Aircrew Common Ejection Seat. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Tim, welcome to NavAir Pax River.
Okay, now this is the ejection seat. Could you give me a little bit of history behind it?
You bet. Prior to ejection seats, the only way of getting out of a stricken aircraft was to climb out of the cockpit on the wing and jump. Made it exciting.
You bet it did. The Navy first started flying planes in 1911. Back then, airspeeds topped out at about 50 miles per hour. So in an emergency, it was still possible for a pilot to hop overboard, pull his chute, and live to fly another day. During World War II, aircraft speed shot up to well over 300 miles per hour. Jumping out became much more dangerous. Wind blasts would slam you back into the plane like a bug against a windshield. Engineers realized the only way to get pilots out alive would be to blast them clear of the plane. The German war machine pioneered ejection seat technology in 1938. Over the course of the war, Luftwaffe pilots ejected from their planes over 60 times. In 1944, the Allies began to catch up. The U.S. Navy selected a British aircraft manufacturer named Martin Baker to build their seats. In 1946, one of their brave mechanics climbed into a Gloucester Meteor fighter and performed the company's first live test ejection. The Martin Baker Company still manufactures all the Navy's aircrew common ejection seats.
This is the Navy aircrew common ejection seat installed in T-45, F-18, and F-14D aircraft. We can actually get you in your personal parachute in a little over half of a second.
Half a second?
Half a second from the time you pull that handle to the time you're hanging in a parachute is a little over half of a second.
Okay, that's unbelievable. Martin Baker's first seats were activated when the pilot reached up and pulled a curtain down over his face. This protected his mug and put his body in the best position to prevent injury. In the early 1970s, new technology allowed seat designers to make the handle more accessible. So how would I initiate this ejection seat?
Basically, you have a firing control handle right here. You could either use one hand and pull up, or two fingers each hand and pull.
And what happens after you pull that? What are the options?
What we do is we actuate a couple cartridges that generate hot gas. That hot gas source travels in the ejection seat to the inertia reel. The inertia reel actuation would retract you back in the ejection seat and provide you proper spinal alignment before the ejection sequence actually sent you out of the aircraft to prevent an injury.
A split second later, with your body in proper position, the canopy above your head explodes to clear the escape path. As the canopy explodes, the ejection catapult fires and sends the seat up a set of guide rails at a rate of 50 feet per second. As the seat begins to leave the aircraft, it automatically activates an emergency oxygen system and a radio beacon to help recovery teams find you.
One of the things that's very important for us is to sense our ejection environment, especially in the carrier environment. We need to be able to determine what our airspeed and altitude is. One of the things that we use to do that is we deploy a pitot system that will send information to the ejection seat and help us determine what that environment is.
Ejection seats started using pitot tubes in the late 1980s. They measure airspeed. A mini computer takes this data, along with altitude and deceleration rates, and determines the safest time to deploy the parachute.
If we're low to the ground, low altitude, low airspeed, we will alter our timing of the ejection seat events to get you in your personal parachute as quickly as we can. If we're up at high altitude, we're going to let that seat and aircrew decelerate to a safe speed to deploy the parachute.
Wow. As I'm being ejected from the plane, how do I not get sliced in half by the tail?
One of the things that we have on the ejection seat is an underseat rocket motor you see located underneath the seat structure here.
Okay.
That underseat rocket motor actually has an operating pressure of 4,800 pounds of thrust for a quarter of a second. It's really a controlled explosion. I can assure you, you're not going to hit the tail of the airplane with that.
Now, we have a little bit of time left today. Is there any possible way you could put me up in the plane, shoot me out somewhere?
Tim, I'd like to say we do that, but we really have stopped using live subject testing probably about 25 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, we use mannequins now, so...
I'm the next best thing, aren't I?
We're not going to go down that path, but we can go through and we certainly simulate an ejection, so we can certainly bring you over there and see how it feels.
Yeah, can you show me that?
Yeah, be happy to.
Great, let's go. That was an amazing experience. I'm getting more admiration for our military's pilots by the minute. But now it's time to head down to Arizona to Luke Air Force Base. I'm going to check out their state-of-the-art flight simulator and maybe hitch a ride in an F-16. Welcome back to the guts and bolts of flight training. Right now I'm standing in front of a one-of-a-kind combat flight simulator in Luke Air Force Base outside of Phoenix, Arizona. Today I'm going to get the guts and bolts of how this simulator works. I'm going to be trained inside of it, and maybe, just maybe, I'm going to take a joyride in an F-16, a real F-16. An F-16 can cost up to $50 million a pop. It's the safest multi-role fighter jet in the world. One reason is training. Before a pilot takes to the sky to practice air-to-air combat maneuvers, he climbs inside one of these things, a flight simulator. Early aviators didn't have this luxury. Their training consisted of crashing a few times. Not good. All that changed in 1929, when Edwin Link invented the first true flight simulator. The Army Air Corps began using Link's invention in 1934, and by World War II, it was a part of almost all U.S. and Allied pilots' training. The device could simulate pitch and roll as student pilots worked the controls, but it couldn't reproduce the visuals a pilot would experience in actual flight. Today, few flight simulators are as advanced as this combat flight simulator at Luke Air Force Base. It's used to train air-to-air combat, evasive maneuvers, and how to handle in-flight emergencies. Major Rick Bunker Shabib is my pilot instructor. So this is an F-16 cockpit.
Yeah, this is a replica of an actual F-16 pilot, same dimensions, all the same switches. Well, you want to go give it a shot? I can hop on the other side and we'll give it a go.
Okay.
All right.
Major Shabib climbs into another flight sim next to mine, and we're instantly networked and flying together. At my left hand is a throttle, and on the right is a control stick. They work exactly as they would in a real F-16.
Dude, I'm going to turn away. Go ahead and turn into me and practice locking me up. Try and get some guns on me. I lost you.
Unlike the Link trainer, this flight sim doesn't actually move. It doesn't need to. It's so good at creating the sensation of motion that I'm actually getting a little bit dizzy. The effect is created with ultra-realistic imagery that responds perfectly to every twitch of the control stick. How do they do it? They start with real photos of the Earth taken by satellite. Then they map these images on three-dimensional computer models. 11 silicone graphics Onyx supercomputers process all this data to create a seamless virtual environment. 11 video projectors beam the images onto mirrors, which bounce them onto 11 separate panels known as facets. These screens form a dome surrounding the cockpit. The result is the world's first flight simulator with a 360-degree field of vision.
Now that you're looking, I want you to basically look over your right shoulder.
Basically put that little circle on me, and when you get closer, I'll let you know. Go ahead and shoot me.
Yeah! Wow, I tell you what, I'd spend all my lunch money on that game.
Did you have a good time?
I had a real good time. It's amazing the perspective you get when you're in there.
Yeah, you did a great job out there.
Great stepping stone to the real thing.
Speaking of stepping stone, I'm going to give it a real shot.
You serious?
Let's do it.
Oh, I'm all over it. I can't believe this is actually happening today. I tell you what, History Channel, you can keep my paycheck for the week. I've been through all that crazy training for this one moment, a ride in an F-16. Thanks to the Air Force and my pilot, Jeffrey Mackey, AKA Mako. Like all pilots here at Luke, his training was a little more extensive than mine. 41 simulator sessions, 5 centrifuge profiles, 10 hours of ejection seat training, 54 training sorties, and 270 hours of lectures. I know I'll be in good hands. The one thing ground training can't duplicate is this, the feeling of blasting off.
Look back now. Oh my God.
Mako's going to take me through some maneuvers that I tried myself in the flight sim.
Got a bandit at our right 5 o'clock back there.
Okay.
And we're going to try to defeat him. All right, here we go. Breaking right.
It looks the same, but it feels a lot more like the centrifuge.
And now we just keep spiraling down, looking back over at 5 o'clock, trying to keep sight of the bandit. If he's shooting us. And I'm going to do a jink, which is basically like this. Try to defeat a gunshot, pull back into him, try to cause closure. We're dancing around, aren't we? We're dancing. Yep.
My laundry's done.
Now it's time to see if that centrifuge training pays off. Thankfully, I'm wearing a G-suit, invented in 1941. It squeezes blood up to my head and gives me a couple more G's of tolerance.
You ready to pull some G's?
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna go to the left, and I'm just gonna try to spike the G's to get us 9. It's 6.9 is what we're showing right now.
Okay.
All right, ready? Here we go. Tighten up your legs, your stomach, your butt, and get ready.
Storm is in place 180 right, reference 0 now.
You did it, man.
We did it.
9.0.
9.0. 9
See-
G's.
Just another day at the office. All right, we are just about out of quarters.
There ain't nothing better than that. Man, thanks, bro. Thanks so much. Unbelievable. We started off with a little over 5 G's right during the takeoff, that vertical climb. It felt fine. Actually, the training they gave me beforehand was wonderful. Throughout the twists and turns of the entire flight, I had a lot of potential blackouts where it would start clouding up, but I did the old concentration trick many times, and the gritting and squeezing and screaming, and it helped out a lot. That's all from Luke Air Force Base. See you next week on Guts and Bolts.